Welcome everybody to another episode of the Third Hour of Power. My name is Grady of This Mormon Life, and I am with my lovely wife, Kristie, of Our Crazy Adventure.
Thanks so much for asking me.
I didn't ask you anything yet.
No, but ask me to be here.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I did ask you to be here.
You asked me to be here.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. So this week we are talking about Chapter 13 of the Gordon B. Hinckley Manual, which is Peace and Contentment through Temporal Self-Reliance.
And he's the perfect example of reliance. I loved reading his biography and just all the great things and how hard he worked. Part of me kind of wonders as I was reading it, I don't think I work hard enough. Like, not that I don't work, but I'm like, I don't know if he would like me as much as I thought he might before I read the book, you know?
Oops, that sound.
So he begins the lesson talking just about his childhood. And you really should read his biography. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And one of the quotes I love from the lesson was, I learned a great lesson from that monster of a furnace. If you wanted to keep warm, you had to work the shovel. And I love that his example. And I kind of think sometimes I feel a little bad that our kids don't really understand that. The idea of if you want to be warm, you need to shovel that coal.
Yeah, he talks about in the lesson how, his family, at first they were like, wood burning stove was kind of how they started out.
Yeah.
And then over time, they got this coal burning stove. But even then, you had to go and get the coal, put it in there, make a perfect coal bed. You had to, after you had the coal bed down, you had to stoke it and make sure it was always taken care of. So it wasn't like today where you set the thermostat and when it gets cold, heat kicks on. Like, it took work. And if you didn't do the work, you couldn't keep warm.
And just the preparation, they had to make sure each night they were taking care of it, for the morning and through the night and everything. And that's pretty impressive. So I wish that our kids, I don't know how they would handle having to warm themselves. But just an important reminder that we need to teach our kids the importance of working, which is actually the next part of the lesson. It talks about, I'm going to go up a little bit, the topic lesson. It talks about, as we work with integrity, our lives will be blessed forever. And one of the ways we can bless our lives is to help our the importance of work. Sometimes our kids complain and they're like, man, I don't like working. And I'm like, spoiler alert, no one does.
No one likes working.
No one likes, we're also people like working. But I said, it's important that we learn to love work and that we love the work that we do. And it says here that children need to work with their parents. That's the most effective way to teach. I love Ginger. Our daughter used to pull up a chair almost every night and help me do the dishes. She wanted to be there. So I'd give her like one dish to scrub while I was doing the rest of them, But as we work alongside with our children, it's going to be a lot more effective than just saying, clean your room. Mm-hmm. Or just let's go in and clean the room together. And eventually they should be able to clean their room on their own. I mean, really.
I hope so.
We're getting there. We're getting better. Our daughter did a great job cleaning the loft yesterday on her own. I had to keep prompting her until she could do it. She could do anything like Ladybug Girl. But the importance of learning to work with them. That we're going to sweep and we're going to sweep together after dinner. We're going to wipe down the counters together. We're going to maybe have different jobs, but maybe at least work in the same area. I know that when we do this, our kids, they're more responsive to it. And hopefully they can learn these things on their own and be able to eventually become independent workers. Yeah. That's what we're praying for.
And, there's a lot of benefits to work. You don't feel it in the moment.
No.
But over time, you start to get confidence. You start to realize, hey, when I work hard, I get to see the fruits of my labors.
Yeah. And sometimes I think it's good to point that out. Like after we're done gardening, I'm like, doesn't that feel great to look at our lawn and how great it looks right now? And they're like, yeah, it does. I'm like, that's because we worked hard, like trying to see them like afterwards. Don't we feel good after we work out? After you work, to recognize the blessings that come.
Yeah. And that really translates to the way that the modern day church is set up with, a lay leadership. Everyone
Absolutely.
serves, everybody works. President Hinckley says that the great genius of this church is work. Everybody works. You do not grow unless you work. He talks about the faith that comes as you're given a calling and responsibility, and it stretches you beyond your capacity. Teachers, maybe when you first got this calling and assignment, you might have felt apprehensive. Yourself and the Lord, and you work and you practice and you the lesson, opportunities to learn like this podcast. These things will all help you to grow and to learn to be a good teacher. That's how we get there. And I think it's just so smart that the Lord has designed the church to be one where we go And as a result, we get things out of it. We grow as a result.
And as we work, it goes hand in hand with service. As we serve others, we feel more love for them, And so we can look at our mundane dishes, doing laundry, main ones, a bunch of other ones that we do, and just realize that I'm working to show my children that I love them, And I think that's a great way to have a good attitude, not because we love our Savior Jesus Christ and we want to help and we want to do our part. And so as we strive to work, it comes when we embrace our work and it's work and temple work and all the other works that we can do, we just feel more peace and we feel more love for those that we serve, which is, I'm sure, why Heavenly Father wants to do it. It's how he learned to love others.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great thing that the church does a really good job of helping others learn how to work, helping us learn how to be self-reliant. The focus of this lesson is how to work for not only others, but yourself. And then once you feel like you're in a good position, also to make sure that you're helping others learn how to work for themselves. That's a real big thing about the welfare of the church system, is that we don't give a hand out, we give a hand up. We give a helping hand. We help people that are in dire straits to get out of the problem. We don't just feed them down, things that they need down in the pit. We try to get them out of that pit and teach them how to avoid falling in there in the future. And I love one of the quotes that is in here. It says that we have resting upon us a very serious obligation. Joseph F. Smith said that a religion which will not help a man in this life will likely not do much for him in the life to come. I remember I was in a world civilizations class, and I thought it was really interesting because the professor, she was talking about the history and the civilization, world cultures, world religions, and she talked about the differences of Judaism and Christianity. And she said that Christianity really focuses on the next life. We go through such hard things. This life is full of sorrow, but if we endure it well, then on the other side we'll be blessed. Judaism is the other end, where Judaism was really focused on the here and now. And we see it in the New Testament. If you're blind or you have the palsy, what did you do wrong? What did your parents do wrong? Whatever is wrong with you in this life is a result of something that you've done or someone else has done to deserve it. And I thought about that. I thought, Mormonism is one of those two ideologies. Of course, towards a celestial reward. That's a big focus for us, and it gives us strength through think that this life needs to be sorrowful, miserable. Know that as we work hard, Lord, we will be blessed temporally as well. That's a really good marrying of those two thoughts.
And just to clarify, I think what you meant to say was that typically Jewish people are really hardworking, and I think they're really good about education, and they really honor those things that are in this world. I think it's what you were kind of trying to say, right? Because it kind of sounded a little negative for a while, so I was just trying to clarify.
Oh, I wasn't.
You like the
negative.
Jewish part of the faith as far as they are really good about working hard. They value education. They see those things and the blessings they are in now, I think, which is really great.
Yes.
Just
I wasn't trying to offend Jewish people. Whatever I said, it wasn't to offend Jewish people.
We love our Jewish brothers and sisters. That's my favorite religion after my own. And so just to clarify, we weren't saying they were bad and always negative, but they do, I think, do a good job of focusing on how they can work. And one of the things that President Hinckley talks about is the Perpetual Education Fund that he organized. And I remember when he organized it, and I was like, I don't know, I must have been a kid or a teenager. And I was like, that's genius. That is so smart. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah. And a great thing that it's been set up to not just be a handout, but say, hey, we're going to help you get education. And the whole idea is that you go to school where you're at. You go to that education process, and then you stay and you build up your community.
I love that part. And you give back and help others,
And pay it back into the get love for their education.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's amazing. And how many people has it blessed? I mean, all over the world, people are able to gain education, provide for their families, and then help lift other people. They can also do the same thing.
Yeah. And I like here, it talks just about, kind of what do you do when you're in trouble? Where do you go when you find yourself in need? And I love this. It really that we should go through. If we do find ourselves where we've done everything we can and we still, can't make ends meet. It says here in the manual that the individual, as we teach, ought to do for himself all that he can. When he has exhausted his resources, he ought to turn to his family to assist him. When the family cannot do it, the church takes over. And when the church takes over, is first to take care of his immediate needs, and then as long as he needs to be helped. But in that process, to assist him in training, employment, and finding some way of getting on his feet again. The whole idea is just we're trying to help get them out of the situation that we're in, to help people to grow and to feel confident. Because there is a little bit of hard feelings that you have when you have to, rely on other people for help. I know, we had the time where we had to ask for help, and it was hard for me to ask, and it takes humbling. I think it's part of the reason that the Lord does it is he wants you to be humble, but he also wants you to have confidence to know that, you can grow out of the situation. Now, the next section I want to talk a little bit about was the third one. So the prophets have encouraged us to prepare ourselves spiritually and temporally for catastrophes to come.
And I think the church has always done a really good job about talking about, again, you have the temporal blessings and also the spiritual blessings. I know a lot of people had food storage for a long time, and they were just like, what's the point? What's happening? The thing's happening. Why do we have this? But, you hear about people losing jobs or being problems, or maybe someone had to go get a surgery and they were able to use their food storage. And the Blessed Lives, I love this part. It says, someone has said it was not raining when Noah built the ark, but he built it and the rains came. And essentially, things are going to come. Things are going to happen. And the Lord and our prophets also know what's ahead of us. It's so interesting to watch the history and see President Hinckley preparing the world for what was going to happen with all the crashes and the debt problems and all these different things, and just trying to encourage the saints to be prepared for that and to prepare by being temporally and spiritually prepared, and I think that's important. I think it shows a lot of faith as we strive to, either build our food storage, plant a garden, invest in our education. The best welfare program is our own welfare, it says in the manual. And so as we can try to strive to work on ourselves, sometimes just small ways, we can be more prepared. So when those things come, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it goes on to say from President Hinckley that, I fear that so many people feel that a long-term food supply is so far beyond their reach that they make zero effort at all. Mm-hmm. And I feel that way too. It's like a year supply. I mean, that's so much food. We're still trying to get, enough for the end of the week. I don't know how we can get a year supply. And so we think, if I can't do it all, I better just do none of it, which is such a crazy idea. Mm-hmm. And so he just encouraged us to begin in a small way. Start small. If you're buying cans, buy one extra and set it aside. Mm-hmm. There was a great program, I forgot what it's called now, but the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And it was just all about the idea that, whenever a disaster does come, whether that's a big global disaster, a neighborhood disaster, or just a neighbor down the street having his own personal disaster, we should be prepared to help. We should be having enough storage for helping our neighbors and help our neighbors prepare so they don't have to want all of our stuff. Exactly. And what it said in there was just the idea of, first start with what you need in the first, 20 minutes of an emergency. Work on that first. Then work on, the first day. What do you need for the first day? And then from there, work on the first week. And just the idea of gradually building up. What do you need for the first 2 weeks of an emergency, so that you're not thinking, oh, I've got to go buy, $4,000 in food storage, but instead say, hey, let's just get a calamity that will get us through the day. If for some reason we have a power outage, do we have enough food to get us, through the end of the week? Those kinds of things help us to start small and be prepared for when those things come. And
then it makes it easier to rotate your food storage. You don't buy everything all at one time, because you have to replace it all at one time too. Another part of that is being spiritually prepared. Are we spending time in our scriptures? Are we praying? Are we listening to the prophets? Are we going to the temple? Are we doing those things that's going to help our testimony? So if either life challenges happen or world challenges, that we can be prepared to be faithful.
Yeah. And have that faithful heart. I know for me, I feel like one of the biggest reasons that we're asked to be prepared is so that we can serve others. Mm-hmm. There's a calamity, and all of a sudden I have to realize, hey, I've got to worry about taking care of my own family right now. I am now in survival mode. I can't help anyone else. But if I know that things are taken care of at home, I can go out and help other people. I can go out and serve. And that's in big disasters, but also in little things too. I remember I got a text once from my elders quorum president asking if I could go do a service project. Somebody was in need and needed help. And I thought, oh, I want to help. But then I realized, wait, I'm going to school right now, and I've got a bunch of homework that I've neglected. It's all due to tonight at midnight. And I just realized I missed an opportunity to serve because, one, I didn't get my education when I was 20. And two, even though I was working on my education, which is a good thing, I was putting off all my homework to the day it was due. If I had organized time better, done my homework first, I could have said, you know what, I've got it not all done. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Let's go do this. But I couldn't because I wasn't being self-reliant. I was procrastinating the things that I needed to do. And as a result, I couldn't serve in the ways that the Lord needed.
Which is hard. Which isn't where we want to be. I think that one's yours. You wanted to talk about.
Yeah. And then just lastly, the last section here. Go ahead and I can't show it anymore. There it is.
You can show things out. So clever.
Yeah, I can show stuff. So
that?
At the bottom, so those of you who are watching the video, you can see that I'm pulling up the description of each section.
Oh, nice.
It talks about we enjoy independence and freedom as we avoid debt to the extent possible and set aside money for times of need, which I think is just so relevant to today. Making sure that we are, saving money, that we are planning and spending only the money that we have, and that we only go into debt for things that are a necessity, like a modest home. It talks about it in there. Scroll down a little bit here. It says here that President Hinckley says that self-reliance cannot be obtained when there is serious debt hanging over our household. One has neither independence nor freedom from bondage when he is obligated to others. And I just think that's so interesting. Just the idea that when we owe other people money, it puts a binding on our finances. Just like, physically we can't help, we can't give sometimes when if we are in debt and we are not living within our means, when, the scouts come by or the young women come by and they've got their fundraiser for camp, we have to make harder choices of, can I help? Can I give? Can I donate to this thing? Or do I have to pay off all the interest that I'm accruing on this debt that I have?
And it's just not a good feeling either to have debt hanging over you and just knowing that, even if you can save up some money that you can't spend, you got to make sure you pay off debt. I heard a quote once that one of the best ways as wives, one of the things that we can do is within our husband's budget, makes so that he feels like he has to provide so much. And so I think it's important. I guess there's no young women listening, but just the importance of women that we can strive our best to live within our means, that we can maybe prepare meals a little bit more modestly. Maybe we can try to trim things here and there so that our husband doesn't feel this pressure that he has to constantly be working or striving another raise so he can provide for our family, because those things are stressful on husbands. And so we want to take off the load. And if we're both working, then that makes it easier. We both have the opportunity to kind of trim back down as necessary too. And so it's important that all of us, husband and wife, single, everyone's trying their best to live within their means and afford things they can. And if not, then just have to wait, which is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But an important lesson, and great for our kids as we're teaching them too.
Yeah.
They can't have the amazing Minecraft set that's $100 because they haven't done their chores all summer, or not enough extra chores to earn it.
Yeah. I love the more message that Elder Hales, is pulled from one of his talks, just talking about him and his wife and how there was a nice coat and he wanted to get it for her and it looked great on her. And then she comes back out and she doesn't have the coat. And he's kind of like, well, what happened? Why aren't you getting the coat? And she's just kind of like, Robert, we can't afford it. It's not within our budget. And just how great it was that he had a spouse that was helping him, get to a point where he could be self-reliant as a family, where they could be self-reliant as a family.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hard as a husband to try to earn and watch the money go out. And you're kind of like, we can't afford this stuff.
And the last thing we want is you to work even more and be farther away from the family. And that's what we want, is the family to function, survive. And so it really helps everyone when we all live within our budget, and helps us to have more peace for sure.
Yeah. So, honey, what's going on your blog this week? What kind of things do you have going on?
So today I actually shared some dinner ideas. Every month I share our monthly menu plan. I just find it's easier with the crazy life of family And for
Our
children,
crazy adventure.
are totally crazy. Our crazy children, that we have everything ready to go. And so the summer is a little different because you don't want to make foods that are going to heat up the house. But, you know, when I'm busy swimming and doing fun adventures with the children while you're off working, thank you. I appreciate you doing that.
You're welcome.
Sometimes it's nice to already just have a meal plan. I can come set and go, okay, I have a menu board. I can look, okay, we're having, you know, enchiladas, or we're having stir fry, or more likely if it's summer, we're having nachos, or quesadillas, or salad, or whatever it is. So I have 31 different dinner ideas on the blog, and you can get some ideas because we really believe in family dinners. It's a small and simple thing, but it brings a lot of peace to our family.
Yeah, and it's great too because, you know, when you have a meal plan set up, it helps to avoid that impulse spending when you go to the grocery store. You know, when you go, oh yeah, we can eat asparagus, we can eat these hamburgers, all these chicken strips.
And I make it for pesto sandwiches, but then the rest, or I pull it out for the pasta. I use leftovers and kind of do things where, okay, I'm going to use leftover chicken from that night to then turn around and make it into salad the next day. And so it helps us a little bit with, if you want to spend less and you want so that it's easier. So it goes right along with the lesson for sure.
Yeah, and it helps create less waste.
It does. It does create less waste. And then I still buy like whatever vegetables are on sale, and then also cutting down on meat portions. That's been helping our family too. Stay
I'm
a little
so glad
trimmer.
that we're eating less meat.
I know. And extending it a little farther and having other things that fill us up so that we're not spending so much on meat. But yes, there's some great ideas there, and a lot of them are summer ideas. I can't even think of off my head what they are, but a lot of good summer things that are easy.
That means you have to go look at them. And
I
we'll
know.
have them in the show notes. So go to the show notes,
yes.
and you'll get a link to all of them there. And over on my blog, we actually had a fun video that we created. James the Mormon did a video with David Archuleta.
Our kids love him too.
They're
always asking for James.
And you know, and it was called Workin'. And so we did a little video of our family doing Saturday morning chores, and we put it to that video. So go ahead and check out the show notes. We'll have that video in there. And it was a lot of fun to do. So
and the kids really, I mean, they do. Especially in working together, they do like to do work sometimes. They do. If you put on music and you make it fun, it makes it a lot more.
Yeah, and so I shared 5 of the tips that you can do at home to help your kids want to work more. The things that you can do to help them want to be engaged in that and help start the process of hard work in the home. So yeah, if you guys have any thoughts of things that you do for hard work, we would love to hear, or how you get your family to work, or even ways that you've been blessed by the church, welfare system. Go ahead and leave us comments in the show notes. Visit us on social media where you can leave those comments there. We'd love to just hear from you, start a discussion of what's working.
And share ideas. Yeah, it's always great to share ideas.
Yeah, so on behalf of Kristie, you can find her at Our Crazy Adventure, OurKerrazy adventure.com. And I'm over at This Mormon Life, this-mormon-life.com, where you can find all the things that we've been up to and what our family's doing, coming from either the wife or the mom's perspective, or the husband or the father's perspective. You're going to see a lot of overlap in our stories, and maybe even see some of their perspectives of, why things are the way they are and why we did the things we did, even if they were silly.
Yes.
But until next time, we're thankful that you joined us, and we wish you all a fond adieu.